Hey everybody, we're going to review some factoring. We did a lot of factoring in Chapter 6, and we're going to need to continue to use factoring in Chapter 7. So I want to go over 4 examples with you. So grab a piece of loose leaf and jot down these examples, please. So the first example is 8x squared plus 4x. Remember from your factoring checklist, we always look for a GCF first. So if you consider these two terms, hopefully you will notice that they are each divisible by 4x. So when you're dividing out the GCF, write it out front. And then in parentheses, you're going to write what is remaining after you divide each of these terms by the GCF. So here we would have 2x. And 4x divided by itself is 1. And if you look at what's remaining in the parentheses, 2x plus 1 cannot be factored further, so this is our answer. It looks like a distributive property problem. That's exactly what we're doing, is the reverse of the distributive property. The next example is 3x squared minus 27. Again, always look for the GCF first. Both of these terms are divisible by 3. So you're going to divide each term by 3, write the GCF out front. When you divide each term by 3, you're left with x squared minus 9. Now if you consider what's left in parentheses, hopefully you will see that we have a perfect square minus another perfect square. So this is the difference of squares. So what we do is we take the square root of x squared, which is x, the square root of 9, which is 3, and from these square roots x and 3 come your factors. One factor gets a plus, the other factor gets a minus. Don't forget to write your GCF back out front. And this is your completely factored answer. Example 3 is, let's see, 4x squared plus 12x minus 40. Again, looking for a GCF, a greatest common factor. 4 divides each of these terms, so write the 4 out front, and then divide each term by that greatest common factor, and you'll have x squared plus 3x minus 10. And now consider the trinomial that's left in parentheses. The leading coefficient is a 1. That's your value of a. Right out here, this is really a 1. So we can use the shortcut, and we're going to look for two numbers that multiply to negative 10. And those same two numbers have to add to 3. So let's see, that would be 5 and 2, one of them has to be negative. So it looks like 5 and negative 2 is our combination of numbers. Because we can use the shortcut, these numbers become our factors. The number 5 becomes x plus 5. The number negative 2 becomes x minus 2 since it's negative. We had a GCF out of 4, so we write that out front. And there's our answer. Last example. Let's try this one. 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. Look for a GCF and you will find there is none. So it's a trinomial. A is not 1, so we can't use the shortcut. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to a times c, so that's negative 24. Those same two numbers have to add to negative 5. So it looks like that's going to be 8 and 3. One of them has to be negative, so it's going to be negative 8 and positive 3. Again, we can't use the shortcut because a is not 1, it's 2. So instead of using the shortcut, we split up the middle term into negative 8x plus 3x. Bring down the 2x squared and the negative 12. And now we're going to factor by grouping. You're going to look for the GCF of each set of parentheses. This first set of parentheses, the greatest common factor is 2x. Make sure you write it out front. Then divide each of those two terms by 2x, and you'll have x minus 4. In the next set of parentheses, the greatest common factor is 3. Write it there. Divide each term by 3, and you'll have x minus 4. And that's good because we want that common binomial factor. So we factor that out. And then our other factor becomes, it comes from what's remaining, the 2x plus 3. And that is our factored answer.